All right, let's talk crypto. But forget Silicon Valley, forget Singapore for a minute. Right now, in 2025, the biggest story in the crypto world is actually happening in a place you might not expect, Brazil. And listen, this goes way beyond just the price of Bitcoin. We're going to unpack exactly how Brazil kind of quietly became this absolute global powerhouse in crypto.
Okay, let's just start with a number that tells you pretty much everything you need to know. 43%. That is the year-over-year surge in crypto activity in Brazil. I mean, think about that for a second. That's like the entire population of a huge city just deciding to dive headfirst into digital assets all at once. This isn't just some passing trend, folks. It's a full-blown financial revolution. So the big question is, what on earth is driving this?
And this isn't just a few rich people playing around with spare cash. The average investment per person shot up to over 5,700 Brazilian reals. That's more than $1,000 US. Now, that might not sound like a fortune to some, but for a lot of people in Brazil, that's an entire month's salary. We're not talking about a casual bet here. This is a massive signal that everyday Brazilians are getting serious, really serious, about crypto for the long haul.
Okay, so let's recap. We've got this insane surge in activity, and we've got real hard-earned money pouring in from basically all corners of society. So how? How did Brazil pull this off? How did it go from being, a crypto underdog to a genuine global powerhouse in just a couple of years? Well, that's exactly what we're going to unravel.
All right, first things first, let's look at the big picture here. This isn't just another speculative bubble, like the crazy ones we saw back in 2017 or 2021. No, this is different. This is a fundamental structural shift. It's like crypto has finally graduated from being a weekend hobby to being a core part of the professional financial week. And this is where it gets really interesting. Take a look at this. It shows a massive shift in when people are actually trading crypto. A few years back, it was all about late nights, weekends, driven by whatever was trending on social media. FOMO, basically. But now, the peak activity is on Monday mornings. What does that tell you? It tells you crypto has moved from the couch to the office. It's not about betting on meme coins anymore. It's about serious, weekly portfolio planning. It's about wealth management.
So we've got this explosive growth. We've got serious money. But the real question is, who are the people behind these numbers? And let me tell you, the answer is probably not who you think.
Okay, let's dig into that because the demographics driving this boom are, well, they're pretty surprising. It's this really fascinating mix of the youngest generation out there and the country's wealthiest citizens. And they're all jumping in, but for completely different reasons.
Now, you'd probably guess this boom is being driven by, seasoned professional investors, right? Well, you'd be wrong. The single fastest growing group of new crypto investors in Brazil is Gen Z. We're talking a staggering 56% increase in just 1 year. But, and this is a big but, here's the twist. They're not gambling on the next big meme coin. Nope. What they're actually buying is way more conservative, and it reveals something fascinating about how young people are thinking about their money.
This table just lays it all out so clearly. It's like two different worlds inside one market. On one hand, you have lower-income investors, and for them, over 92% of their portfolio is in really volatile stuff. It's a high-stakes bet. They're chasing those life-changing gains. But then, you look at the high-income folks, and this includes a lot of those new Gen Z investors we just talked about. It's a totally different story. They're heavily into stablecoins and fixed-income crypto products. See, they're not buying a lottery ticket. They're using crypto as a tool for things like tax efficiency, diversification, a smarter way to build and protect their wealth.
So with everyone from college kids to CEOs jumping on board, what are they all buying? It's not just Bitcoin. The real star of the show here is an innovation that honestly could only have been born in Brazil. And that brings us to the Brazilian secret sauce. It's this game-changing financial product called Renda Fixa Digital, or RFD for short. It basically translates to digital fixed income. And this is the product that is pouring fuel on this fire.
So what exactly is this Renda Fixa Digital? Think of it like a digital piggy bank on steroids. You put your money in, and it's not just sitting there. You're actually funding real-world things, like you might be helping to pay an energy bill for a small business or funding part of a construction loan. And in return, you get paid interest. And the best part? The interest you get is way, way better than what any traditional bank would ever offer you.
And this chart right here, this shows you exactly why the volume of RFD exploded by an insane 108% in a single year. Look, with a traditional investment, you might get around 100% of the benchmark savings rate, right? But RFD products were offering an average of 132%.
How? Well, by tokenizing these real-world assets, they basically cut out the banking middlemen. And all those savings, they get passed directly on to you, the investor. It's just a better, more efficient product, plain and simple.
Okay, so we've got these incredible returns and a truly revolutionary product, but you've got to be asking, is it safe? Right? That's the million-dollar question. And that's where the Brazilian government stepped in and completely changed the game.
You see, instead of treating crypto like it was the Wild West, Brazil's regulators did something really smart. They decided to build a safe, transparent playground for these digital assets. They laid out clear rules for the game, and that single move gave everyone, from brand new investors to the biggest financial institutions, the confidence they needed to get in on the action.
And look, this didn't just happen overnight. This was a very deliberate, planned-out process that took years. It started way back in 2022 when they passed the first big crypto law. Then, fast forward to late 2025, the central bank laid out all the specific operational rules. And now, there's a hard deadline in early 2026 for every single platform to be fully licensed and compliant. The message couldn't be clearer. Play by our rules, or you don't get to play at all.
So what does all this regulation actually mean for an investor? Well, it means your money is way safer. It means shady platforms get shut down. It means crypto transfers are treated like formal financial operations. And maybe most importantly, it means that even the big traditional banks are now getting on board and endorsing crypto. In short, it means crypto in Brazil has finally grown up.
And if you need any more proof, just listen to this quote. This is from Itaú Asset Management. That's the biggest private asset manager in all of Brazil. They're telling their clients, we recommend investors allocate between 1% and 3% of their wealth to Bitcoin for strategic diversification. I mean, come on. When the most buttoned-up, conservative, old-school money managers are giving crypto their official seal of approval, you know the game has fundamentally changed. So when you put it all together, the crazy innovation, the smart regulation, the big banks jumping in, it really positions Brazil as something more than just a leader in Latin America. The big question we have to ask now is, has Brazil actually created a brand new model for the rest of the world on how to do crypto right?
This table really tells the whole story of Latin America. Brazil now accounts for something like 77% of the entire market. But it's not just about size. Look at the why. In a lot of places, people use crypto to escape their economy. It's a life raft to hedge against crazy inflation. But in Brazil, it's the opposite. People are using it to invest in their economy. It's not about escaping with crypto, it's about investing in crypto. It's a rocket ship, not a life raft.
So where do we go from here? Well, the next big battleground is already taking shape. It's basically a showdown between two types of digital money. On one side, you have the Drex, which is the government's official digital currency. It's controlled, it's centralized, but it's got big privacy and tech hurdles. On the other side, you have private stablecoins, basically digital dollars. They're booming, but the government's worried they're being used to dodge taxes. How this fight plays out is going to define the next chapter for Brazil's crypto story. So, at the end of the day, will Brazil's model, this unique mix of regulated innovation, become the future of global finance? It's a huge question. What they've shown is that you don't have to choose between innovation and safety, you can actually have both. They're building a new financial future right before our eyes. And it's a story that I think the rest of the world really needs to pay attention to, because this experiment in Brazil might just change the rules for everyone.